What's up, y'all? I'm back with day 29 of 31 Days of Reviews featuring Encanto. This will be spoiled because Encanto is on Disney Plus right now. If you have not seen Encanto, please go check it out and then come back here. But first, make sure you hit that heart before you leave and then come back and comment. This video won't be long because I started my job today and I'm a little tired. But Encanto was a Disney film. I think it's Disney. Is it just Disney or is it Disney Pixar? I don't know. It's just a Disney film. Came out in 2021 about the magical family, a host of characters. It's pretty much like an ensemble film, but Mirabelle is our main attraction. Main attraction, like she a ride. I'm crazy. She's our protagonist, lead character. And also at the top of my profile, I have 3 videos pinned. They are all Encanto videos. If you want to see some of my behind the scenes thoughts of the show, of the film, sorry, and like, you know, the meaning of it and all that jazz. But in this family of magical, essentially beings, like mutants, essentially, Mirabelle is essentially like the middle child, I believe. She's like I'm talking about with the cousins and everything included. She's like in the middle, like kind of like the youngest. I think she's the youngest actually, because I think everybody's older than her because she was the last person to get powers. And then, yeah, so she's the youngest, and she's the only person in her family who does not have an supposedly. Like I said, go watch my pin video, but only go watch them if you've seen them. So this entire film is animated and it's amazing, and it has some beautiful songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And the plot of this film about like how generational curses or generational trauma passed down through the generations, because we find out that Mirabelle's grandparents fled like a raid on their town and were like running from marauders and everything, and her grandfather sacrificed himself so that his wife and their triplets could get away. And within her grief of crying for her husband dying before her eyes, the candle that she was holding guided him through the night, magically became enchanted and created a barrier and a wall around Mirabelle's grandmother and the rest of the town. And when they saw this happen, they pretty much made her like a mayor in a sense. They made her kind of like the lead of this town. And from there, with the generations that was created from evacuating the town, she was able to not only raise her children, but, you know, her grandchildren and stuff like that. Because the candle itself is magical, anybody born in the magical family gets some type of ability by touching the candle and like kind of like getting imbued with its magic, touching the door that pops up in the house, because the house itself is magical, and they get some type of ability that the grandmother says is to help the family. And that's the crux of this entire film. The grandmother is so touched by her own personal trauma that she ends up putting it on not only her kids but on her grandkids as well. Mirabelle is the only child who does not have an ability, and she can see the sort of disgust and dislike of her grandma, even though that's probably how she feels. Her grandmother feels, and I doubt her grandmother loves her, but her grandmother also pushes her aside for the, you know, grandkids that do have an ability or is about to gain an ability. And for me, this is like an allegory on like kids who, you know, grew up in a big family and they might not be as smart as their other sibling or more athletic, and they kind of get left behind because seemingly there's nothing special about them, when in actuality it really is. They just probably haven't tapped into it and found it yet. And that's pretty much like the summing up of like Mirabelle's character. She portrays a lot of like heart, but also a lot of sadness, and wanting to just be just like her family. But what she doesn't realize, and you see in the course of the film, that she is the glue that her family needs, because like the family is essentially is ripping at the seams. And even the grandmother notices it but ignores Mirabelle's warnings about it. Like she prays a little bit to the candle, but she essentially makes her granddaughter feel like she's losing her mind and nobody believes her when she already feels like she's an outsider. That plot alone is heavy, but then you throw in the excommunication of the grandmother's son, Bruno. We don't talk. That has left Bruno a little bit scarred, and also dealing with like a split personality to cope with his fears, cope with his pain. Something that it seems by meeting Mirabelle helped kind of like alleviate a little bit of that for him, and it brought him back into the family and back to those that love him, even though they felt too afraid to speak up about him leaving and even speaking about. So this film is rife with like heavy family tones, tones of depression and loneliness and taken for granted. Like, it's a lot in this film, and I love this. But then on the flip side of it, because I know I've been heavy for a good like 5 minutes, but on the flip side of that, Lin-Manuel Miranda created some beautiful, like, touching and moving songs, some with great beats. There was some rapping, like the cadences. Like, go check out the music, like check out the soundtrack, check out the clips, watch the film on Disney Plus if you haven't. It's such a fun ride, and it's such a beautiful story about a subject that I feel like any family, no matter their race, can understand and agree actually happens or has happened in their family. On top of that too, it's very diverse. It showed how this Colombian family comes in all shapes, all sizes, all complexions, and it was just beautiful to see that on film, but also in an animation, so that kids are, inspired by this. Or that was a weird R. Actually, it was almost like a pirate, like R. But where kids are like inspired and, can see themselves on screen, and they don't have to wait as long as like me, or even as long as like my mom, or even before that my grandmother. You know what I mean? Like, singing these stuff and seeing that it's normal, that there's nothing abnormal about it. Encanto for me, when it came out, was like one of my favorite films of 2021. Amazing. Any award that it won was well deserved. It's also a fun film. It has some funny bits, and like I said, the music is like peppy and upbeat, but it also blends in with some of the music. It's a bit sad, but then you rejoice and get happy. You feel for these characters. You feel for the sister who feels like all her worth is just being pretty, and you feel for the sister who feels that all her worth is just being, strong for everybody else, but she can't be weak for anybody. She has to take shoulder everybody's burdens, and doesn't have any space to deal with her own. You have one of the aunts, Pepper, who is so uptight that she has a lack of control over her powers, even though she's had them her entire life. She's just written with, like, I feel like she's written with guilt about Bruno and all type of sadness. And I feel like for a film to display all these different varying emotions based on the same trauma just shows how, like, you can grow up in the same house and not really be like your siblings, even though you were raised by the same parents, or maybe you're exactly like them, and maybe you pulled in some of their hurt. Like, this film has like everything you can want it. I can keep raving about this film, but please go check out Disney Plus's Encanto if you have not. Per usual, make sure if you got to this, thank you so much for watching. Please go heart this and comment below what your favorite part of Encanto was if you've seen it, and have a good day or night.